An arrest is made in what has been a disturbing string of home break-ins in the area, including Arlington, and police are not finished with their investigation. The Hardy Elementary School now has more room as school leaders anticipate increasing student enrollment. What are some of the upgrades you'll be seeing? ACMi takes you on a tour. A community organization gets a hefty financial boost from Arlington after it spent years helping others. Foodlink officially breaks ground on its new Summer Street home. We'll tell you why Arlington is so heavily invested in its mission. And ACMi is giving you better Spy Ponder sports coverage as it undergoes a major upgrade. This will enable you to get a front row seat to all of the action. Arlington Public News starts right now.
Hello, I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Carla Dorado. A Boston man is charged with 19 home break-ins since the fall of last year.
One was in Arlington, that according to the Middlesex DA. 33-year-old Wargel Soto Suazo was arrested following a Brookline break-in last week. Police say he's a suspect in home break-ins in Arlington, Watertown, Quincy, Brookline, and Medford. And police tell ACMi they are investigating whether Soto Suazo is connected to that disturbing string of Arlington home break-ins last fall. You may recall police released a home security video of an Arlington break-in just last November, but it's still unclear whether this man is Soto Suazo. After searching the suspect's home, police say they found several stolen items, including jewelry, at least one firearm, and an iPad. He faces several charges, among them breaking and entering to commit a felony. Wargel Soto Suazo was ordered held on $40,000 cash bail at his arraignment in Brookline, February 11th.
Students are settling into their new classrooms at Hardy Elementary School. 6 classrooms were seamlessly added to the back of the school in a project begun last year. The $4.8 million addition is meant to ease an expected increase in enrollment. New principal Kate Fretz took ACMi on a recent tour. She pointed out the unique qualities of the 1920 school, including the remnants of a high ceiling stage that was later turned into a second-floor library during a 1950s addition. The latest addition will allow older classrooms to be used for special instruction space that they just didn't have before. And besides classrooms, there is a new music room.
As soon as I walked into this space, into the library, especially here at Hardy, I just really did feel at home. It's a lovely old building, and I think the builders did an incredible job of helping this new wing to blend in with the rest of the building. This is the music room. We also have a 5th grade classroom on this floor, and then there are 2 more classrooms above us, and then 2 more classrooms on the top level. It's bright, it's open, there are huge windows. I think the building itself, it echoes a real love of education and teaching children. Even just carved right into the front of the building are these lovely phrases. There's one that talks about really educating the hand, mind, and heart for the common good. And I think that's just such a lovely phrase to think about in what we're doing here at school, still today.
The money for the school came out of the town's capital funds and was also used to build an additional playground on the Lake Street side of the school. Total enrollment for Hardy School is just under 500 students, up from just under 300 when the school was last updated in 2001.
Sadly, hate crimes are still very much in the news nationwide, and Arlington is no exception. The town reported nearly a dozen hate crimes in 2018. And you'll recall in December, officials at the Thompson Elementary School considered graffiti found in the first-floor bathroom a clear case of hate speech. Town leaders told us then they'll continue to send out the messages through the police and school departments that acts of hate driven by race, ethnicity, or gender identity will be met head-on. One child educator told us if parents sweep the issue of hate speech under the rug with their kids, they miss the perfect chance to find out what that child may already know and correct any misinformation.
If our child walked by and said, "Oh, Mommy, that woman's Asian," we as parents have shushed them, right? I mean, like, shh, that's impolite. But we would never say that if they said, "Oh, Mommy, there's a red car," or "there's this," or "there's that." And so we know that children identify, right? And so, but we've given them particular messages about not talking about race. And I think there's this other piece that comes from a very loving place, that we are all equal, right? That everybody has opportunity, and it feels good to talk about that. It is much more difficult to say, well, actually, not everybody has the same opportunity. That's really hard.
Dr. Liza Toulouzin was recently invited to speak to Arlington students about the sensitive issue of race. You can see her entire interview on ACMi's public affairs program, Talk of the Town. Just click on acmi.tv.
Foodlink, the community organization that rescues fresh food and alleviates hunger for so many area residents, broke ground earlier this week at its new location on Summer Street with more than 100 people attending. Foodlink's motto is rescue food, nourish our community. ACMi's Jeff Barn tells us why Arlington has invested so heavily in this marvelous organization that began with a noble idea and has since blossomed into a major player in helping others.
For many people attending this official groundbreaking ceremony, this was their first chance to see Foodlink's new home, the former site of the Napa Auto Parts store on Summer Street. Julie Kremer and Deanne DuPont co-founded Foodlink in 2012, collecting fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy goods, and bread, and working out of their cars and homes to try to feed thousands of area residents who are food insecure. This 4,000 square foot facility is the culmination of a positive vision that was born 7 years ago.
What started as two women collecting bread from one Panera in 2012 has transformed into where we are today. 200 volunteers, 20 food donors, 32 recipient agencies, serving 18,000 people in 12 communities. Yeah. With that food, our recipients are able to create 400,000 meals a year.
Volunteers at Foodlink say when all of us waste food, we waste valuable resources as well.
Lots of resources, including the energy, the labor, the water used to grow, transport, store, and display that food that's going to be thrown away. Food waste is often disposed of in landfills or burned for energy. Foodlink marries the two problems of excess food going to waste and people who don't have enough to eat with one solution: getting that good nutritious food, fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, and bread to the people who need it.
Purchasing this building was made possible by a $327,000 award from Arlington's Community Development Block Grant. Town leaders say these funds are very hard to come by, that it's not an easy sell, that Arlington receives far more applications for grants than it has money to hand out. Town manager Adam Chaplain says that's why Arlington has invested so heavily into Foodlink, because this organization and its founding members have had such a positive impact on some of the most vulnerable residents of Arlington and the surrounding community.
The leadership of Foodlink and the tremendous volunteer base is just blow you away impressive. To take it from, was it your garage, Deanne, or Julie's garage, or both of your garages? To take it from someone's garage to here in less than a decade's time, that doesn't happen by accident. That happens with tremendous leadership, tremendous vision, and commitment to achieving a goal. And that's why we're standing here today. So this is a team, really just a tremendous team that has brought us here today.
Currently, Foodlink occupies 3 locations, and over the next year, the group will be consolidating its operations, offices, and storage, all under this roof. DuPont says that gives Foodlink the ability, at a minimum, to quadruple its food capacity and provide enough fresh food for 1.6 million meals annually. For Arlington Public News, I'm Jeff Barn.
Kremer and DuPont say they plan on completely moving into their new home this summer.
You know, Carla, we're really fortunate to have the Foodlink here in Arlington. They're a terrific organization, and it's great that they're expanding now into a larger home. They have more resources now for the entire area.
They do, and you know, they work really hard. A lot of these people are retired. They're doing this work late in the evening. They're doing a lot of travel. I think there's a lot of good things to be said about the people and this organization.
Very much so, and especially when it's needed now in the winter. The Robbins Library hosted an author this week who has a fascinating story to tell. A bizarre tragedy that happened in Boston 100 years ago. Author Stephen Palaio is the author of Dark Tide, the Great Boston Molasses Flood of 1919. Palaio shared with his audience the story of a deadly wave of molasses that struck Boston in January 1919. That's when a massive 50-foot-high molasses storage tank suddenly ruptured in Boston's North End, disgorging more than 2 million gallons of molasses. A 15-foot-high tsunami of brown goo that rushed through the streets at nearly 40 miles an hour, killing 21 people and injuring 150 others. The unstoppable torrent snapped support girders from a nearby elevated train track, leveled several wooden homes, and even took out a brick fire station. Palaio said he came upon the story quite by accident.
I came across the story first when I was doing my master's thesis, and it was on Italian immigration to the United States. And I used the North End as a focal point and came across the flood story at that point and said, I have to look into this a little bit further. The Boston molasses flood sparked a huge civil lawsuit, one of the largest in Massachusetts history even to this point, one of the first class action suits in Massachusetts history, and a really important landmark case that I think set the stage for building construction standards across the country for years to come, even up to this day.
Palaio says the tank was poorly made and there were several safety oversights, and Boston's harbor was brown with molasses for months. His book, Dark Tide, The Great Molasses Flood of 1919, is available online and wherever books are sold.
Coming up next on the other side of the break, ACMi Studio B on Mass Ave gets a major upgrade, giving us a box seat for all the sports action at Arlington High.
And speaking of sports, what does Arlington's track superstar Ryan Oosting have in common with a Super Bowl winning quarterback and one of the greatest shortstops in MLB history? More than you think. We'll explain when we come back.
Hey, Adelina, how are you? Hi, Meals on Wheels.
I'm Marco. I'm a college student and I volunteer as a driver for Meals on Wheels.
I'm very happy I did it. I think it's awesome meeting these people. I mean, they're so interesting. They've had so many wonderful experiences in life. You can tell when you go to see them how eager they are to share their experiences and their wisdom with you. I can see my grandparents in some of these seniors, and you know, when I think about what I want for them, if they lived alone and didn't have anybody to look after them or help them get food, you know, I'd want someone there who does what I do to make sure they're being fed. Your community helps to raise you up into the person that you become. Meals on Wheels is a great way to give back to that community.
Everyone has a story to tell.
Something that moves or impacts them, or maybe changes the way they see the world. Earlier this week, ACMi aired Double Take, a live program at Town Hall presented by Arlington's Human Rights Commission. The goal of this unique program is to encourage Arlingtonians to get to know themselves and their neighbors just a little bit better through personal stories. The more we learn about each other, the stronger, more welcoming residents will become. Clinical psychologist Sean Healy recalls his younger days when he grew his hair long and attracted a lot of feedback, some positive and some not so positive.
As I was growing it out, it was frustrating, and numerous times I'd questioned whether or not I should just stop, just cut it off, make life easier. But inevitably, whenever I was feeling that way, somebody would come up to me, unprovoked, uninvited, and somewhat sarcastically tell me I should cut my hair. And so I realized I had a bit of rebellion in me, and my response was typically, oh, for you, I'm growing it 3 inches longer. So that helped me get through those tough spots.
There were 7 storytellers in all hoping that those in the audience could relate and think twice about the human condition. You can watch Double Take in its entirety. Just go to our website, acmi.tv, and click on Double Take 2019.
There's a lot happening at Arlington High School this week.
Here's Reese Steffen with this week's Ponderscope from Studio B.
Welcome to the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. Monday, February 18th marks the start of winter break. There will be no school from the 18th until the 22nd. Tuesday, February 26th is an early release. School will let out at 1 o'clock and lunch will be served. ACMi will be holding their annual A-Town video contest on March 21st. All submissions are due March 1st. To learn more, visit acmi.tv/A-Town. Friday, March 1st is the freshman-sophomore semi-formal dance. The dance will be held in Old Hall and go from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. Tickets will go on sale at the beginning of the week and can be purchased in the cafeteria during lunch. I'm Reese Steffen, and this has been the Ponderscope.
ACMi has just taken a giant step forward using all its resources to bring you the best in Arlington High School sports. You may be familiar with our Studio A right here on Park Avenue, but did you also know that we have a Studio B on Mass Ave just across from the high school? This is where our weekly Ponderscope and sports updates are produced for our newscasts. It used to be that we covered sporting events live with a single camera. Now, Studio B can take feeds from several live cameras at once, so a director can get the best shots of any sporting event and get it to you live.
So instead of setting up a studio over at the high school, we're using the control room that's literally built into Studio B to control the environment that's happening at the court at this point. And we do the same thing at the press box for football, and we'll be doing that in the spring with soccer and lacrosse. And then to think the network supports us going live at the same time. So we're able to hit social media with Facebook or YouTube Live, as well as hit our channels here. And that comes out of Studio A. So we're controlling it at Studio B. It's getting shot over the network to Studio A. That's where our equipment is housed for us to go to transmit live to Comcast, RCN, and Verizon customers. So it's a really exciting time for community media, and we're excited to roll with it.
Jeff Monroe says instead of taking all the control hardware to the remote location, everything comes to Studio B, which will enable ACMi to give you a front row seat to all the action.
It's a pretty cool place. Have you been down there?
I have, and it's all run by high schoolers, which is wonderful.
I know, it's great. It's great to have this facility and they can feel like they can do their own work. Meantime, Arlington's own track phenomenon Ryan Oosting has just added more hardware to his trophy collection, an award that puts him on an equal footing with the likes of Peyton Manning and Derek Jeter.
Here's Carlos Abreu with all your sports action from where else? Studio B.
Hello Arlington sports lovers, and welcome to another edition of your ACMi Sports Update. The regular season is coming to an end, which means playoffs are right around the corner, and many of your Arlington Spy Ponders have made the cut. The girls basketball team beat Winchester in an exciting doubleheader event on Friday. With this win, the girls only need one more win to get in a position in the playoffs. The girls took a loss at home this week against a strong Belmont team, but still have a chance to win on the road.
So here's a turnover. And here's Michelle Mahoney and Diana Wick stopping and popping way downtown. Bang!
She's got a rhythm going right now. She's hit a couple. I believe that's maybe her fourth or fifth three-pointer tonight.
Although the boys basketball team have already secured a position in the playoffs, they took a hard loss against Winchester on Friday. This marks the end of the legendary 51 regular season home win streak. Despite the loss, this streak was still an incredible accomplishment. Speaking of massive accomplishments, Ryan Oosting is making headlines again. Earlier this week, Oosting was named Gatorade State Boys Cross Country Runner of the Year. The award is given to students not only for athletic excellence, but also high standards of academic achievement and great character. Congrats to Ryan Oosting for this outstanding achievement. Finally, boys hockey will play their last regular season home game on Saturday. Come on down to the Eddie Burns Arena to see the boys on the ice one last time before playoffs. That's all we have for sports this week, but be sure to keep tuning in to ACMi Sports for more coverage of your favorite young athletes.
And of course, stay with us for all your latest news and sports updates. That'll do it for us here in Studio A. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Carla Dorado. We'll see you next week.
Bye for now.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Arlington Public. If you have any news tips for us here at Arlington Public News, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by the studio at 85 Park Avenue.